I formed a group called the Pili Pili Dancers, which means hot. And I choreographed something to Aretha Franklin's Respect.
Okay.
And we went on television when they opened up the first airing, and we did that dance. And then somebody wrote in the paper that Kenya had its Rockettes. One time they had Miss Piggy as the guest, okay? So we were Miss Piggy's girlfriends. So they put a schnout on my nose that was pink and a blonde wig. Find your passion. And that's not always so easy to do. But if you have something that you like, grab it and develop it and stay with it.
Welcome to the Informed Choice Podcast, where natural healing meets practical truth. I'm Eni, the Naija Goddess, and this is where we simplify holistic wellness so you can stop guessing and start healing. Today's guest is a woman whose life proves that movement, art, and learning have no expiration date. Leslie Butler Barron is a professional dancer, choreographer, and educator with a career that spans continents. She holds a Bachelor in Fine Arts from dance, ballet, from the Juilliard School, and a Master's of Education from Harvard University as a Conant Fellow. She began her artistic journey at the Elma Lewis School of Fine Arts in Boston and went on to perform, choreograph, and teach in Europe, Africa, the Caribbean, and the United States. Leslie served as a government choreographer for the Bomas of Kenya in Nairobi, performed weekly on television in Cologne, Germany, and spent 5 years on Broadway in the Tony Award-winning production of The Wiz alongside Stephanie Mills. In 1983, she created the first dance program for Boston Public Schools, designing curriculum and choreography that brought professional dance into the classrooms across the city. Now in her early 80s, Leslie continues to live a life of fearless exploration. She travels the world to attend Argentine tango events, studies Tai Chi daily, teaches ballet to geriatric students, and still seeks new experiences, even traveling to Cooper Maritima to learn how to make ravioli by hand. She continues to choreograph regional theater productions, most recently lending her creative vision to the color purple, proving that artistry is truly ageless. She is a life member of the Purple Shot Steppers Club and an enduring example of vitality, curiosity, and creative grace. Today, we explore the theme Crossing Borders, Building Bridges. From teaching ballet in Kenya to dancing tango in Buenos Aires, Leslie's life reminds us that art and movement transcend culture. We will uncover what happens when you take your craft abroad, why immersing yourself in other cultures can transform how you see health, art, and community. It is an honor to welcome Leslie Butler Barron to the Informed Choice Podcast. Hey, Leslie, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for that nice introduction.
Absolutely. And that's not even everything.
It's just enough.
It's not even everything, so much. So you began your artistic journey at the Elma School of Fine Arts. How did that environment shape your sense of identity and purpose as a dancer?
Well, I think being in a neighborhood school, it was a neighborhood school, it provided my social life. I became very close with all the girls in my ballet class. We loved each other. So I had a real sense of home there and had a teacher that was like a parent, okay? And I think that basis made me want to do that for my students when I started teaching, how important it is to build community and support it.
But when did you start ballet and what made you?
I started ballet when I was 6 years old, and it was because I had bad feet. I had flat feet. And the doctor told my mother if she gave me ballet classes, it would help build up my arches. So once again, or I should say for the first time, ballet was more therapy than it was my love. Nobody expected me to fall in love with it, and I knew at 6 years old I was going to be a ballet dancer.
You knew at 6 years old. Did it correct your arches?
It helped, yes. I wore special shoes until I was in junior high school. I got my first pair of loafers in junior high school.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. So what was it like studying at Juilliard during that era, and how did that prepare you for your global career?
Well, Juilliard was an amazing experience. I have felt my whole life that I was divinely led. And when I got to Juilliard, I went in with the audition process, and the group that was before me, they did modern first, and then they did ballet afterwards. And when I saw the modern dance, it was Graham technique. I had never done that, and I got a little nervous. I said, uh-oh, if I have to do that, I'm not going to look so good. By the time we got to the end of I was in the last group, they had to choose between which technique because there wasn't enough time to do both. Fortunately, they chose ballet, and I was in a group with mostly modern dancers, so I looked great. When they couldn't do the combination, or I was just going right along. So again, that was being divinely led. Okay, they could have chosen, and it's interesting because I only applied to one school, which was Juilliard. I just knew I was going, and my mother said I had to get a college education because if the day came when I didn't make it professionally as a dancer, I needed to have something to fall back on, and that would have been teaching. So I always did both things. I had a professional career, but I always taught. When I was doing the whiz on my night off, I taught dance at New Paltz State University. I'd get on the bus with my son, go up to New Paltz, teach the class, and come back. So I always had that in my life. The teaching, I started at Elma Lewis's school. I sort of like assisted her a bit when I was in high school. So teaching was always a part of my life. And so the school gave me the tools that allowed me to go to Juilliard, that allowed me to go to American Ballet Theater and step into the class and know what I needed to know.
So how was that transition from high school to Juilliard to American Ballet Theater? What was that transition like? How did you prepare for that? What stage of life was that?
It was almost seamless. I mean, if you can imagine going into a class where you knew the vocabulary, okay, and my teacher at Elma Lewis made it a point to give us, we learned the Chiquetti technique, and she would also have a Haitian teacher come from Haiti every spring to teach us Haitian dance.
So for the listeners and viewers, can you just give a little preview? What is the Chiquetti technique and what is the Haitian dance?
Well, there are different forms of ballet. You have the Royal Academy dance, which comes out of England. You have the Bournonville, which comes out of Denmark. And you have Chiquetti. And it's really about how, for instance, there may be 5 arabesques, but in the Chiquetti, the first arabesque has a different arm than, say, the Bournonville or something like that. And then for the Haitian, I didn't know, the only thing that I knew was what this particular person, his name was George Howard, taught.
Okay.
Okay. And you had your warm-ups and you had the vocabulary. And, he would come like maybe in April and he'd have him for 2 months. And you couldn't do it if you didn't do your ballet. There was no cross. If you didn't have that foundation, you couldn't go into that. And then she would always have a jazz routine that she taught. Okay, so jazz wasn't something that you studied, you just did it, okay?
Okay.
Okay. But ballet was the basis. She said, if you master ballet, you can pretty much do any kind of dance.
So you went from the Elma school and the next was
Juilliard. And when I was at Juilliard, I also got a scholarship from Elma Lewis's school that allowed me to go to American Ballet Theater. So I would do Juilliard from morning till about 5 o'clock. And then every evening after Juilliard, I'd go down to American Ballet Theater and I'd take the class there. And then if I had to come back to Juilliard for, study or going into the music library, I would do that. So I had a really, really grueling schedule the entire time that I was there.
And did you enjoy that?
I didn't like Juilliard at all.
What did you not like about it, and what do you appreciate about
that
today?
Well, I think also you have to realize you take 4 years of music. I did not read music. I did not play an instrument when I arrived. So already I was challenged and overwhelmed by that. So you had music history. In the second year, we had to play the piano and give a recital.
Yes.
Okay. For half a year, I did nothing but the scales. And everybody else was playing a piece. And people would ask me, well, how did you get to Juilliard and you didn't read music? But it was because I was in the dance department.
Right.
And so that wasn't the major focus of my education at Juilliard. But I'm very grateful
Yes.
that, years later that I had that background. Okay, we started with the very early music history with motets and, Gregorian chants, and then
Yes.
moving into the different periods of classical music and things like that. And I'm very grateful that I had that.
Yeah, I love music
Yeah,
history.
yeah.
For those of you that know, I was a performer, was a former professional cellist. So everything she's saying is accurate. And so even though I went in as a cellist, you're still required to learn to play piano. And that was horrible. God awful. I mean, I played that C major scale so many times.
Oh, I can't tell you.
Oh,
Yeah.
my
Well, the way what I did was my favorite piece of music at that time was Eric Satie's Toi Gymnopédier.
Okay, yes, I know exactly.
And I decided that I was going to learn that myself because I didn't get a piece. I
He
only,
was a very minimalistic composer, French composer. And yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah.
You
And
played that?
I picked it out by ear. Okay. So
Wow.
I had the nerve to say to my teacher, well, I want to show you something that I've been working on. And I played the piece for her. And what she said to me afterwards was, that was atrocious fingering. She didn't say, I can't believe you did this yourself. How wonderful that was. There was
Right.
not that kind of encouragement.
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
basically criticism to make you better. Okay.
You definitely get a thick skin.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that's true. That's absolutely true.
Because playing, I'm there on scholarship as a professional cellist. My piano teacher was actually the organ professor there, and so for her, playing piano was nothing because it's just a piano, right? So you're not literally pulling out all the stops, and she could not understand why I could not translate doing my feet and hands differently at the same time to coming from cello. And I struggled. I struggled. Like that's the only C I've ever received in life that I was actually proud to get because I was always a straight A student.
Yeah.
But I said I'll take the C. I'm not doing the recital. All I can do is play a C major scale and whatever little basic, little songs. Like
Yeah.
so the fact that you started off playing Satie, because if you did it by ear, then you weren't following the traditional fingering.
No.
And then
Not at
that's
all.
not good. It's not proper technique.
Right.
And that's what they're going to focus on.
That's right.
versus you actually accomplishing the musicality.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
understand.
So I didn't like it. I mean, there were days I didn't have lunch because you could go into Juilliard and just do the music and dance. But because I was getting a degree, I had to do my academics. So I had academic classes as well as music class. I had choreography classes. I had lab notation classes, just tons of stuff. And a modern dance class every day, a ballet class every day, some kind of composition class every day, plus music and an academic. So life there was very difficult. And as I said, I went in with a fairly large class, maybe 30 people at the beginning. And I graduated in a class of 8.
So from 30 students to 8 over a span of 4 years.
Yeah.
They're kind of dropping like flies.
Right. And then some people dropped out because they actually got
Took off.
a professional gig and they went to do that and left school. So, and I did, I mean, I got married while I was at Juilliard and my husband was going to Harvard. So I dropped out for the 2 years that he went to the business school. And then I came back to Juilliard and finished up. So
that is beautiful. Okay, I can really delve into it, but we're going to move on. What were your earliest experiences performing abroad and how do they differ from what you learned in the United States?
Okay, my first job that I had was we moved to Kenya, my husband and I. And at that point, we were not happy with what was going on in the U.S. And this was in the 60s. Kenya got its independence in 1965, and we were there in 1968. So,
What were you not happy with in the United States prior to moving?
well, I mean, I remember the March on Washington. I remember what was going on with the marches in the South. And we were fighting for equality. I mean, big time. It was a big issue. And, we weren't convinced that America really wanted us to be here. So we were looking for some other alternatives. Okay. That whole thing shifted, and my attitude about I'm here and this is my home, whether you like it or not, and I will be the fly in the milk.
That's very,
Okay.
I like that.
Every time people look up, you will see my black face. I'm not going anywhere. Okay. But I was glad I had that experience. And when I went to Kenya, I started first, I wanted them to learn their traditional dancing because the school system was basically English. So the African students were learning the Highland fling and things that had nothing to do with their culture. So I volunteered to teach at the theater school that was started by the government. Here was independence, and they were trying to move forward, and they had a school for drama. So I volunteered to teach movement to actors. And so when they saw that, then they asked me, would I do some kind of dance program for the new television station that was going to open up. And I formed a group called the Pili Pili Dancers, which means hot. And I danced, I taught, I choreographed something to Aretha Franklin's Respect.
Okay.
And we went on television when they opened up the first airing, and we did that dance. And then somebody wrote in the paper that Kenya had its Rockettes. And so that led people to ask me, would I consider putting together a program where Kenya was going to host the first African trade fair for all of Africa. And so Kenyatta, Jomo Kenyatta was the president. He wanted what he called Harambee, working all the different, there were I think 16 major ethnic groups, and then there were subgroups within that. So he wanted everybody to work together and learn each other's cultures and dances with one company doing it. Because when dignitaries would arrive at the airport, 200 dancers would have to show up because he didn't want to offend one group versus not having another and having that one.
That makes sense.
And it was just too much to do that every time. So by having the one company that did everybody's dances, everybody was represented. So I was asked to do the All Africa Trade Fair. That went very well. 200 dances in a theater where I had to rotate two companies going down the stairs while two went up, so that they were always ready to go on stage for the next time. So when that worked out, and then the African American community in Kenya stepped forward. There was an architect who did all the posters, and there was somebody else who had transportation, and somebody else who did the food. So then they asked me, would I start the National Dance Company, which I did. And it changed my whole concept of beauty. I saw things that many Kenyans have never seen. I went out to,
Such as?
well, there's a group of Korea dancers, and we went out to see them and to ask them. The way that we were going to set up the company was to have guest artists come from different ethnic groups and be resident in Bomas and teach their traditional dancing to the group of students that we had hired. So that's how we built the repertoire. And so when I went out there, that's where I saw Kenyans dancing on big, big, big blocks, like in Japan where they have the thongs that go between the toes. Well, they had cowhide strings that went between the toes that tied these blocks onto their feet. And when they moved, these blocks would hit and make a rhythm. And then they had a big, 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 big instrument. It was called a kambanane, meaning 9 strings. So when we think about the violin in Europe, there was one in Africa long before that one.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And they had a gourd with 2 sticks coming up and going across and the strings coming down, a little square door to open up to change the resonance of the sound, and also the concussion of hitting that gourd gave another rhythm. I mean, this was just amazing to me. And then if they were going to the Giriama group on the coast, the young girls were the ones that danced, and the women that were married became the chorus. And they would take a string, and they'd take pieces of white fabric, and they'd wet it and bang it on a rock so it got accordion pleats. But they had already frayed the edges, so the string was hanging off. And then they'd lay these pieces over the rope and come back and do another layer, and come back and do another layer and another layer. So it was thick. And then they tied around the waist. And every time they shook, it went. The fabric moved, and it was like a tutu. I mean, so my whole concept of beauty totally changed. I saw things, and I refused to buy anything Western. So I had my house. People would ask, would they come to my house? Because they heard I only use traditional things. And my plates were made from the clay that, people in the countryside ate off of, not European plates that you could buy in the city. And I had I had a sofa made out of the style of a Parsons sofa and a Parsons table, but I covered it with African fabric. I made Roman shades out of African fabric. And there was a prison industry, and I would go there to get my sisal rugs that were bright colors. I just had a ball there. And, if you went out and you saw a group of women, let's say they were Kikuyu, they shaved their heads. They had a string that went around with these big, 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 big loops that were covered with tiny little beads. And there maybe be 20 in each ear. And the rope kept the ears from falling and stretching down on their shoulders. But if you saw 20 or 30 of these women together, I mean, it was just unbelievable beauty. So that's where, and if you went into the Samburu or the Maasai, these were all guests that came to Bomis. So I got to see them real close, okay? The men were the ones that would twist their hair with the red ochre and cow fat,
Yep.
and they would be down to their hips. And the women shaved their heads, okay? But they would have jewelry up to here, and they have metal things. I mean, the beauty was just everywhere. It was just beautiful. So that's when my Western concept of beauty totally changed.
I'm so glad. Oh, that was so rich. What did you notice about how African audiences experience movement and rhythm compared to Western audiences?
Girl. If an audience was quiet, they didn't like you. If they talked and they clapped and they stomped and maybe even danced a little bit, they liked you. So, to go to a theater and just sit down and be so quiet, that's not them. They participated.
Which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big difference.
Yeah. And then also, you'd go to any kind of, we went one time to Machakos, a friend of ours, his village was having a breaking of the ground for the building of a new school. So we went to the celebration, and the women were making a circle and they were dancing. And I watched it for a little bit, and I said, I can do that. And I got out and I joined the circle. So when it was all over, they came over and they said, well, we know your mother was a com, but we just don't know about your dad.
That's good. That's good. Okay. How did you navigate teaching ballet, a traditionally European art form, in a Kenyan cultural context?
Well, it reminded me a lot of what my teacher did back in Boston. We had the classical ballet, which was used to develop the body and the technique. And then we had the Haitian, which spoke to our culture and who we were and where we came from. So the ballet was only a tool to develop the body, balance, ability to catch choreography. But then when we had the guest artists there in the afternoon, they would do the traditional dancing.
Okay.
And that's how they built the repertoire for the company. So we were able to use all the aspects of dance.
Yes. Okay. Were there moments where you felt transformed by the people you taught or the communities you encountered?
Absolutely. I mean, the transformation, you almost kind of don't realize it's happening until one day you stop and you look up. I mean, to me, it was my house. The fact that I was able to make my whole house out of African artifacts, fabric. I have to say, I can remember in my kitchen, I bought these huge vessels that were carved, okay? And they were like a shilling, which was maybe less than $1. I don't know what it was since then. And I hung them in my kitchen, and I had plants growing out of them. And then they would make these round, they were made out of a sort of a I guess like a bamboo, very thin, round things that you could set the round bowls on because they weren't flat. So if you took them down and you wanted to set them on something, or women would have them on their heads, okay, I used them as towel racks. I put them in my bathroom.
Put the
and
spin
put
on it. As a quick aside, Leslie is an artist in every way. Every home she's ever had has been basically like a museum of just everything that comes to life. She has beautiful gardens. She takes pieces from all over the world that are used in one aspect, uses it differently in her home. And when you walk in, it's like you're blown away every time. And it's never overwhelming. It's always so tasteful. It's so beautiful. And then you can just look here and you can see all of your Asian art. You look here, you see all your, and just how you weave things in and how she dressed, everything that comes through her creatively is so beautiful. So I'm not surprised that your home
Well, what I
was
what
just
yeah.
like that.
Well, what I like to do here, I have African art sitting on an Asian stool,
You do.
or I might have an African picture above a Chinese brush painting picture.
Yes, you weave it
Yeah,
beautifully.
yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. You later performed in Germany, bringing in American and African diasporic artistry to European audiences. What bridges did you see forming through that exchange?
Well, that was a very interesting experience because I started out with a young man by the name of Robert Solomon, and he was African American. And so the very first concert that I did was with him. And there was a young lady in the company that also worked with another choreographer by the name of Louis Bartoletto out of Cologne. And so they needed another dancer. So she told him about me and asked, would I be interested in doing this weekly TV show? And I said, yes, of course. So we would go into the studio on Thursday, learn whatever we needed to do. The name of the show was, it was a comedian by the name of Jorgen van der Lippe. And it was a half-hour show, and he would have guest artists come. Sometimes it was a singer, sometimes it was musicians, whatever. And we were the backups. So we might have to learn a song, we might have to learn a dance, whatever they needed as the backup group, we were it. And I was so glad nobody at home ever saw those shows.
Why is that, Leslie?
Well, I just think the concept of what was fun and funny for them was not for me. Okay. To give you an example, just to give you an example, one time they had Miss Piggy as the guest, okay? From Boston, from the States.
Okay.
Wasn't she on Miss Piggy was?
I don't.
Yeah, I can't remember which. Sesame Street.
Sesame
Right,
Street,
right,
okay.
right. So she was the guest. So we were Miss Piggy's girlfriends. So they put a schnout on my nose that was pink and a blonde wig. And I said, well, if they can believe it, I'm not going to tell them I'm black. So, I mean, it was those kinds of things that were just so far-fetched, you know? And there were other things, there were other shows. I mean, one time we were the backup for a group, and I can't remember the name, but they broke up their instruments. Yeah, it was a rock group or something, and they just went wild, you know, things that I would not consider necessarily artistic, okay, but you know, their concept of what was funny was very different from mine.
Okay.
They had Jose Feliciano. That was a very
So
sane
it was like
show.
A variety show?
It was like a variety show.
So you
but
sang
he
as
was,
well.
yeah, he was a what do you call it? He was a comedian.
Okay.
So there was always some theme that ran through the show, based on who the guest artist was.
So you were acting, singing, and dancing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you start singing?
Well, I mean, it might have been a little jingle that they wanted us to do. I remember one of the qualifications for doing that show was that if whatever you choreographed on Thursday didn't suit what they saw before, you know, the next day, because that was the day that it was live, you had to go back in the studio, and you maybe had 20 minutes to change something and come back out and do it. So you had to learn quickly, and you had to adapt quickly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kept you on your toes.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
It did. Mm-hmm.
Okay. How do you believe the arts can serve as a bridge between health, culture, and community?
Well, I think all arts feed the body, mind, and spirit. They're not separate.
Yeah.
They're in everything that you do when you're especially for me when I dance. I mean, what makes me want to dance is basically music. I hear it and it just goes right through me. And when they talk about going into the zone, I was going into the zone when I was 6 years old. Okay, once I heard that music and I started moving, I was there. So it's always been the fusion of all of those things for me and also for my students. I made sure that they understood they were expressing something from inside and that it made what they did more poignant.
I fully agree. What have these international experiences taught you about wellness and the connection between body and spirit?
I think it's so important to know what you're eating and how you eat it and when you eat it.
Yeah, that part.
So when you're going to another culture that doesn't have what, like for instance, when I was in Kenya, they had ugali, which I didn't particularly like.
Yeah.
Okay, but they ate very healthily, even though they didn't have the abundance of things that we had. Okay, and culturally, you knew you had to eat it because you did not want to offend your guest. Okay, but nothing ever made me sick. I was healthy there. Fruits were, how can I say, abundant, and you ate a lot of them, okay? And everything was fresh, and you had to cook everything. There was no packaged food. I mean, you could
No
go,
processed food.
yeah, you could go to, there were some grocery stores, and you could get it, but it came from England, and I always found the stuff rather bland. It didn't really appeal to me. I didn't like the pastry, so I made my own, okay? And because I was 5,000 feet above sea level, it was hard to make a cake, so I didn't make cakes. So there was no eating of a lot of flour and sugar and things like that. So I think experiencing different cultures introduces one to a whole new way of thinking, a whole new palette of tastes.
Absolutely.
Okay. And if you're willing to, now, one of the things that reminded me of home was they had something called sukuma wiki, which means pushing the weak. And guess what the food was?
What was it?
Collard greens.
There we go.
So, there was collard greens and the ugali was like our cornmeal or, I mean,
Yeah.
you can find similarities even though it's presented very differently and the taste is very different.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
Yes. Yeah. I know that very well. What advice would you give younger artists who want to use their gifts beyond borders but do not know where to begin?
to me, the beginning is your foundation, your technique. I don't care what you're doing, whether you're playing an instrument, whether you're dancing. If you don't have a technique underneath what you want to express, it's not going to work. So you need to put in the time, put in the commitment, and learn your craft.
No shortcuts.
No shortcuts.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we're in a shortcut society, and like they say, the 10,000 hours. You have to put your 10,000 hours in somewhere. You can't shortcut learning the cello. You can't shortcut learning ballet.
And you have to do it. I can remember there was a period where I was so tired of doing pliés, but I did them every blessed day of my life and in every class I ever took. So there are things you're going to love and there are things you're not going to love. And it's not going to be a bed of roses. If you're not willing to put in the time, the energy, and deal with the frustrations, don't do it. And my ballet teacher used to tell us all the time, if there's anything else you can do besides dance, I'm begging you, do it. But once you get bitten by that bug, it doesn't matter what anybody tells you, you're doing it. It's a calling.
It is.
It's a calling.
Yeah. So you have maintained remarkable vitality from practicing Tai Chi daily to teaching ballet for older adults. What role does movement play in your health today?
If I don't move, I start to close down. I can feel it in my body when I don't. I mean, what I do now, I try to walk every day. And it turns out I try to walk 5 days a week instead of 7. I was going for 7. On Mondays and Wednesdays, I do Tai Chi in the morning. And then on Monday nights, I do Tango. Then on Tuesday, I was going to a movement class. And then on Thursday nights, I would do urban ballroom Chicago stepping. But when I would do the Tai Chi on Wednesday, after that was a line dance class.
Yep.
And then that line dance class repeated on Friday. So I was doing sometimes 2 and 3 classes a day. And my doctor said, maybe you need to just slow down a little bit, okay?
Boo.
That you're doing too much. And there is something to be said at this age to burning the candle at both ends. I can no longer do that. If I don't go home and put my feet up for an hour before I decide to go dance, I don't go dancing. I don't want to be driving home at 10 o'clock at night tired.
All right.
So when I was younger, that wasn't an issue. But now that I'm the age that I am, I pay attention to that. Okay? So if I don't move and if I don't do these things, I'm not a happy camper. So there's a certain joy that comes from doing these things and the camaraderie. I've made wonderful friends. I had a walking group that I joined when I first came. There were 7 of us. Well,
when you moved to Charlotte,
to Charlotte, yeah.
Right.
And for different reasons, we shut down during COVID, and then when we opened up again, some people had moved on to something else. But we have lunch every month, and we have dinner with husbands once a month. So even though we're not walking together, that friendship was sealed. Okay. So within each place that I go, I started doing Chicago stepping and urban ballroom. I mean, that just blew me away. I mean, that's what I used to do when I was, in high school, that kind of dance. And it just, there's a joy to it. There's a camaraderie. There's a friendship that develops in a community.
I like how your eyes sparkle as you said that. You've recently choreographed The Color Purple. How did that experience differ from your earlier work, and what inspired you to keep creating at this stage of life?
Well, it made me know that I don't ever want to do it again. I don't think people understand the amount of time that goes into the preparation for a class or for a dance or for a number. And because I've done it my whole life, I now feel like I don't have that discipline anymore. I can go off and have lunch. I can go to Boston for the weekend. I don't have that commitment. And once you have it, that's all you can do. You're not calling, I'm going to go for the weekend down to Charleston. I want to go to the jazz festival. You're doing that job.
That's true.
Okay. So I feel like this time in my life, I have some freedom to move as I see fit when I feel like doing it. So I had fun doing it because I got to know Damon very well, who's a sweetheart. And, but I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't do it again.
So that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
Okay, well, final question before we move to our cooking segment. What message would you like listeners to take away about living a life that stays in motion, both physically and spiritually?
Find your passion. That's not always so easy to do. But if you have something that you like, grab it and develop it and stay with it. And it'll take you far.
I love that. Leslie, thank you so much for this. We're going to transition to our cooking segment. We're doing a Mediterranean millet dish. So we have the African millet with Mediterranean flavors put together to echo your background. And we're going to talk about our herbal spotlight of the day. So we'll be right back with our cooking segment. Welcome to our cooking segment. So we're going to do millet from Africa, and we're going to do Mediterranean seasoned sauteed vegetables to kind of blend Europe and Asia from Leslie's background. So I've already pre-cooked the millets. We have that here and diced up most of the vegetables, but we're going to tie it all together with the lemon olive oil vinaigrette or dressing. So we're going to start with that first. And I have my lovely sous chef here to help with that. Okay, Leslie. So we're going to take some good quality olive oil and let's start with pouring about 3 tablespoons. Or I'll do that.
Okay.
1, 2.
You can tell
3.
immediately.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Take
Okay.
it off. Yep. All right. And then I'll do the zest and juice of 1 lemon.
Mm-hmm.
You want to always rub evenly to avoid the white pith because it's very bitter.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that white pith is very, very good for you, it's where the bioflavonoids live within the lemon or the lime. So you have to intentionally want that flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's why it's also good to get organic, unwaxed lemons. So you're not putting wax
Mm-hmm.
in the zest. I'm going to actually probably do 2 lemons just to make it very bright. You'll be able to stir it out for us, Leslie.
Okay.
All right, so that's good. We'll take our knife, slice it, and you can give it a good squeeze.
Okay.
Excellent.
Look at how much stronger your squeeze is than mine.
I do this all the time. If you feel if you feel like your lemon or lime is a little stingy with this juice, quarter it and you'll get more juice out of it. Okay. 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. This will act as our emulsifier to blend it all together. So it's not there for taste, it's there for as a binder that will mix the oil in the water.
Isn't this awful? I can't even see the numbers on here. 1 teaspoon? Yeah. Okay.
There you go. Yep, perfect. And then we're going to do 1 teaspoon of proper maple syrup, not that high fructose corn syrup mess, okay? Okay. We're going to do just a shake, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cumin. Just adds a little bit of depth. And then we'll put in a little bit of salt. So I'm going to use this mix it up salt just to mix it up. All right, let's give that a whisk, a flick of the wrist. All right, it's coming together somewhat. So when you're whisking something, let me just show the audience. It's best to go in an S pattern, and that's what's going to actually bring it all together. So this motion is stirring.
Okay.
This motion is whisking.
All right, let me try that.
Yep.
I learned something today.
Yeah, it's kind of like a figure 8 you're doing when you're whisking. And that looks like it's come together. So now we're just going to give it a quick taste for seasoning. I think that tastes good. Okay, see what you think.
That's good.
Nice and tangy. All right, so we'll put that to the side. Now we're going to turn on our oven here. Put this in the sink as well. I'll rinse that off to a little bit. Okay, so we've done the dressing. Now we're just going to do a little bit of a little saute here for all the veg. All right, so I'm going to start off with something a little bit more flavorful. I have some olive oil that had sun-dried tomatoes in it. So I'm going to use that type of olive oil just to add a little depth of flavor. So not too much. Okay, put that over there. And then we use that as our base. I'm going to start with some zucchini. that basil. And some red bell pepper that I just sliced up. And we're going to give that a little mix. Let those hang out for a sec. You can already smell that tomato basil oil, right? So that's already imparting a lot of flavor. Now, you don't have to do that. You can use regular olive oil or avocado oil, coconut oil.
So were there actual tomatoes and you just kept the oil from?
Yep. I always strain off, and if I buy the kind in a jar, I'll always strain off the oil because I normally don't want the oil on the tomatoes. I use them, and I just keep it, and I just keep adding to it. But it's such good flavor. And make sure you brine the tomatoes in oil if you do buy it in actual olive oil, not canola oil. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're just getting a little bit of color in that zucchini. And that's really coming together. Now we have our grain here, which is this millet that was already pre-cooked from our batch prep. So we're going to just really just warm that through.
So when you buy millet, is it what does it look like in the bag? I don't know that I've ever bought it.
Well, that's a great question, Leslie. So millet is available in most normal grocery stores within the continental United States. It's normally right beside brown rice, buckwheat and such. It looks like little pearled. I have some. I'll show it to you. Okay. And maybe I'll put some B-roll and show the people. But it looks like little golden pearls or little balls. But it's high in fibers, high in your micronutrients, lots of B vitamins. It's very nutritious. All right, so while that's kind of going, I'm going to add in our spices. So I have some dried thyme and some smoked paprika. Two of my favorite spices. It also adds some beautiful color. You can smell that, right? All right, I'm adding our onion. And so that one little tablespoon of oil has lasted us, right? So we are very conscious about that. And we're going to just let this onion cook through. Now see, we've got purple, we've got red, we've got green, we've got yellow. We're eating the colors of the rainbow. Now while this finishes coming together, let that onion cook, I want to talk about our herbal spotlight of today, which is basil.
Oh, wow. Smells wonderful.
It's one of my favorite herbs for so many reasons. This helps support healthy digestion and like good circulation. It helps to calm the nervous system.
Oh boy.
So it's really good with uplifting mood. It's really good with stress recovery. And most people don't think about it like that. They think about it as just a food item, but it's actually an herb. So it's here for medicinal purposes and deliciousness purposes. It helps the lungs. It supports the lungs for better breathing.
Wow.
So delicious. Turn this down a bit while the onions still cook. And when you're feeling like scattered or like overextended, basil is a great go-to herb, which I thought would be like really great for you. And it's a daily tonic for mental clarity and vitality.
Now, when you say mental tonic, I mean a tonic. Are you putting it in oil and consuming it, or?
Great question. So what are the ways that you can use basil as a tea? You can drink basil tea, which is delicious, right? Culinarily, like we're going to add a lot of this basil in, and that's going to help. You can do that with salads and soups and, quick fries like this. Then you can use it as aromatherapy. All right. That's a great way to inhale it. And then you can also apply this as an oil to your joints, and it helps.
Wow.
with like sore joints.
Okay.
So yeah, it has a lot of applications. So I'm going to put in some, I'm not going to be shy with the basil.
Okay.
So we're going to add that in. Just adds that bright freshness. And it's going to do all those things I just mentioned. It's great when you're cooking to always impart intention into your food in addition to love. And my husband here was so great to get us some millet to show.
Oh, yes, 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 yes.
So when I store my herbs or whatever in my mason jars, if I'm not sure what the package instructions say, I'll always leave
This
directions in there.
Uh-huh.
But that's what it looks like.
Okay, I've
Just
seen
little,
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Just little.
Yeah. Okay.
It's really cute. It's really pretty. And in the United States, you primarily see this white millet, but millet comes in all colors. So if you're in the West African market, you're going to see it in a multitude of colors.
Wow.
All right. So I feel like this has come together quite well. So the only thing now we're going to do is add our dressing. Let that come together.
Oh, it looks wonderful.
It does. And then for some textural contrast and some additional healthy fats, we're going to put in some of these chopped pistachios. Because a birdie might have told me you like pistachios.
I do.
We'll just add that in. Can't go wrong with adding some pistachios.
No, you can't. It's wonderful.
And give this all a stir. And then we're going to plate it up. Let Leslie try and give her opinion on it. And we're going to end with our rapid fire questions.
All right.
Now we have this beautiful, very beautiful bowl with all the colors.
It's gorgeous. Oh, it looks lovely.
So hopefully it tastes lovely in your opinion.
Okay. All right. So now, do you consider millet a rice substitute? Like you
Yes.
use quinoa instead of rice?
Yes.
Is it healthier than rice? Is it less starch?
Oh, it's definitely healthier. It is a little bit less starch. It's lower on the glycemic index for sure. It has more nutrients, more micronutrients in it. It's in it. It has more fiber, like a white rice as well. So this is a great replacement for white rice, even brown rice. The main thing is to have diversity when you're eating foods. You want to try to incorporate at least 30 different types of plant foods each week, whether you're vegan or carnivores or whatever you want to say your diet is, but to have at least 30 different plant foods, it's going to help with your gut microbiome and your digestion, your ability to absorb more nutrients. And so eating a variety of colors and a variety of grains is going to help do that. So it's really easy to do.
Okay.
All right, so now we're going to have her try it.
Okay.
Custom dish for Leslie,
Oh, this looks wonderful.
spanning Africa. Oh no. Wait,
What?
I forgot one key ingredient.
What?
The sun-dried tomatoes.
Oh, okay.
I had a total brain fart. I just put a couple in. See, these have to hydrate.
Oh.
Do you want to do a couple in yours?
Yeah. Go ahead. Put them in. Okay, that's good.
In the show notes, the full recipe will be there. What do you think, Leslie?
Oh, I love it.
What are you tasting? What do you like?
Well, what surprises me is the millet.
Really?
I mean, I don't know what I expected the texture to be, but it's wonderful. I love the fact that, like the zucchini is there, the red peppers. It's just great. And I'm not so aware of the basil. I thought I would, taste it more, but it's blended very well.
Balances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Yeah, it wasn't meant to be a basil dish, but all those benefits of basil will definitely come through. It's Leslie approved, y'all.
It reminds me of that pie that you made, the breakfast pie that I had.
Oh,
And all I could say was, It was so this is the same.
okay. And what about the crunch with the pistachio?
I'm not as much aware of it as I thought I would be.
Not for flavor, but for texture. It wasn't there for flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's got everything.
Every time I add an ingredient, it has to be for a particular purpose. So if I wanted to taste like basil or taste like pistachio, we would do it in a different application. But that wasn't the objective.
But the zucchini is just perfect. It's a nice texture. It's not too hard. It's not too soft.
Okay.
But that has to do with your skill in terms of how you. I was noticing the order in which you were putting the foods in.
Yes.
And I think I probably would have started with the onions first.
Right. Most people would. So when I don't know if this is just me or from culinary school way back in the day, but when you're layering flavors, the order you put them in matters. So I did not start with the onion because at the end you won't taste the onion. And so I wanted that to be, and I didn't want the onions to be too soft. So that was purposefully delayed.
I know you didn't expect me to eat all of this, right?
Oh, you're more than welcome to. It's for you.
I guess you just wanted me to take a spoonful and let you know.
Well, while you're enjoying your dish, I'm going to end our show with some rapid fire questions so that our listeners can get to know you better.
Okay.
Ballet or tango?
Now it would be tango.
Now tango. Okay. All right. Broadway stage or open air studio?
Broadway stage. Nothing like it.
Nothing like it. Yeah, I can only imagine on that one. Favorite country you have danced in?
Well, I've been to Buenos Aires 6 times in 3.5 years. And the last time I went, I stayed 3 months. I would have said Buenos Aires, but because I saturated myself with it, I wouldn't say that. I would probably say Mexico.
Okay.
I did one festival in San Miguel Allende.
What made that? So what's making Mexico your favorite country to have danced in?
The weather was perfect. The town was beautiful. And that particular festival was so well organized and planned. It made everything
else just fall in place.
Yeah.
Tai Chi at sunrise or tango at midnight?
Tango at midnight.
Tango at midnight. Teaching or performing, which fulfills you more?
Now it's teaching.
Now teaching. Favorite travel destination for food?
Italy.
I thought you might say that. One thing dance has taught you about life?
To persevere and embrace the discipline.
Embrace the discipline. That's powerful. The song that always makes you move?
Oblivion by
I thought you were going to say that. By Piazzolla.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, one of my favorites too. Okay, that's a whole other conversation. Okay, Oblivion. Excellent. If you haven't heard that, you should listen to it. Astor Piazzolla. Excellent. Most inspiring dancer you have ever met?
Raven Wilkinson.
Raven Wilkinson. Or what made?
Well, she was one of the first black ballet dancers. She was in Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo.
Okay.
Long before any of us were thinking about ballet for black people. And I happened to meet her. I was doing a summer session at Balanchine School, and she was there, and I knew about her a long time. And it was such a pleasure and honor for me to be able to talk with her and meet her. And Misty Copeland is another love. I've met her, and the most humble, down-to-earth person, okay? And so was Raven Wilkinson. So,
Last question. What keeps you curious at this stage of life?
nosy. When I see something, I want to know all about it, you know? And I mean, what's interesting, 50% of me still feels I want to see the world more. And then 50% of me is so glad I'm home. I could pack a bag in 10 minutes. You tell me, let's do something. I know one of my tango teachers was doing a workshop in Puerto Vata, and somebody dropped out, and she called me up and she said, are you free? Would you like to do it? I said, absolutely. So this was on Monday, she told me. I was there on Thursday.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you've done your rapid fire questions. We've concluded our cooking segment. I'm so grateful that you came on. You know how much I love you and adore you. Like,
It's mutual.
sincerely.
You're my daughter that I didn't have.
Yes, sincerely. So with that, audience, thank you so much for tuning in this week to this episode of Informed Choice Podcast. And remember to heal naturally and live vibrantly.
Amen.